Hello, my name is Jirayut Kyungthong. The title of the story that I choose to make an audiobook is Story 4, The Day the Voices Return. I affirm that I have recorded the audiobooks with my own voice and that this work is my own. I accept responsibility for my role in ensuring the integrity of the work submitted by the group in which I participated.
Hello, my name is Vathana Pacharan. Today we are going to talk about the title of the story we should is Story 4, The Day the Voice Returned. I affirm that I have recorded the audiobook with my own voice and that did work in my own. I accept responsibility from law in ensuring the integrity of the work submitted by the group in which I participated.
Hello guys, my name is Puritat Noihangwa. The title of the story that I chose to read was The Day the Voices Returned. I affirm that I have recorded the audiobook with my own voice and that this work is my own. I accept responsibility for my role in ensuring the integrity of the work submitted by the group in which I participated.
Story 4, The Day the Voices Returned. For nearly 3 years, the radio studio had been silent. It wasn't that equipment had stopped working. The microphones were still in place. The soundboard remained carefully maintained, and the red on-air sign above the glass window will figure to life when tested. Everything functions exactly as it should. But no one has used the studio for its original purpose in a long time. The university had once been proud of its student, the radio station. It had broadcast music, interviews, and late-night talk shows hosted by students who spoke with energy and confidence. The station had been a place where voice mattered, where ideas could be shared freely, and where students felt heard. Then, gradually, things changed. Fewer students volunteers, schedules become harder to maintain. Eventually, the broadcast stopped. The studio remained, but it became a quiet room filled with unused equipment and fading memories. Rena Park had heard about the radio station during her first year, but she had never seen it. It was mentioned briefly during an orientation session, then forgotten among more immediate concerns like assignments, deadlines, and exams. Now, in her third year, she discovered it by accident. She had been looking for a quiet place to study, somewhere away from the noise of the main library. While walking through one of the older buildings on campus, she noticed a door slightly opened at the end of a hallway. Curious, she stepped inside. The room was dim, lit only by a small desk lamp near the soundboard. Dust had settled lightly on the surfaces, but everything was still in place. Through the glass window, she could see the recording booth with its microphone standing silently in the center. Rena stepped closer. There was something about the room that felt unfinished, not abandoned, just paused. She reached down and touched the edge of the soundboard. "Hello," she said softly, almost as a joke. Her voice echoed faintly in the empty space. No response. Still, she didn't leave. Instead, she sat down in the chair behind the microphone. For a moment, she hesitated. Then she leaned slightly forward and spoke again. I don't know if anyone can hear this, she said quietly. But I guess that doesn't matter. Her voice sounded different through the headphones, closer, quieter, more present. She adjusted the microphone slightly. I just needed a place to think out loud, she continues. She didn't plan what to say next. The word came naturally. Sometimes it feels like everyone else knows what they are doing, she said. Like they have a clear path and I'm just trying to keep up. She paused, listening to the sound of her own breathing through the headphones.
I don't usually say this kind of thing out loud, she admitted. After a few minutes, she stood up and left the room, unsure why she had stayed so long. The next day, Lena returned. She told herself it was just curiosity, but part of her knew it was something else. She sat in the same chair, adjusted the microphone, and spoke again. Okay, I'm back, she said, with a small smile. This time, she spoke more easily. She talked about her closet, her uncertainty about the future, and the pressure she felt to make the right decision. She didn't expect anyone to hear her. That was the point. It felt safe. Over the next week, Lena visited the studio regularly. Each time, she spoke a little more openly, a little more honestly. The room became a space where she could express thoughts she didn't say anywhere else. Then, one afternoon, something unexpected happened. When she entered the studio, she noticed a small object on the dress, a note. She froze. She was certain she had been alone in using the room. Slowly, she picked it up. The handwriting was unfamiliar. I heard what you said yesterday. You're not the only one who feels that way. Dina's heart began to beat faster. She looked around the room, as if expecting someone to be there, but it was empty. She read the note again. Someone had heard her. That evening, Dina sat down at the microphone, unsure of what to say. I didn't think anyone was listening, she said. Her voice carried a slight tension now. But if you are, I guess I should say thank you. She hesitated, then added, and also, who are you? The next day, another note appeared. Someone who needed to hear that too. Dina smiled, though she still felt a sense of uncertainty. Over the following days, more notes appeared, short messages, written in different handwriting. I feel the same about not knowing what I'm doing. I've been pretending to be confident for years. It helps to hear someone say it out loud. Lina realized something slowly. She was not alone. The studio had become something more than a quiet room. It had become a space where people listened, not in the traditional sense, but in a way that mattered.
One evening, Lena decided to try something different. She turned on the recording system. Then, after a moment of hesitation, she activated the broadcast signal. The red on-air sign lit up. For the first time in years, the station was live. Lena took a deep breath. If anyone is listening, she said, her voice steady but soft. This isn't a planned show. I just wanted to say something. She paused. Sometimes we think we are the only one feeling lost. She continued. But Maybe we're just not saying it out loud. She sat in silence for a moment, unsure what would happen. Then, slowly, she continued. If you ever felt unsure about where you're going, you're not alone. The broadcast lasted only a few minutes. Then she turned it off. The next day, when Lena returned to the studio, the desk was filled with notes, more than she had ever seen before. Some were short, some were longer, but they all shared the same idea. People had been listening, but more importantly, people had been waiting to be heard. That evening, Lena sat down at the microphone again. This time, she did not hesitate. Welcome, she said, a small smile forming. I think this is the first real broadcast we had in a while. She adjusted the microphone. And I don't think it's about having the perfect voice, she added. I think it's about being honest. She paused, then continued. So, if you're listening, this space is yours too. In the week that followed, the radio station slowly came back to life, not as it had been before, with structured programs and scheduled shows, but as something quieter, more personal. Students began to visit, some speaking into the microphone, others leaving notes, each adding their voice in their own way. The studio was no longer silent. It was filled with something else, not noise, but voice. Real ones, honest ones. And for the first time in years, the space felt complete.